I see ISIS dressed in black.
I see ISIS dressed in black.
That's my E-tool in his back.
That's my E-tool in his back.
Fired up. Here's your 5988s. Know we got a skeleton crew today, but these trucks have to move. They've got to be exercised. So even if you don't find any faults, at least take it for a lap around the motor pool. Get those brakes broke up, get the air running through the system. Who knows, we might find some other faults that we're not looking for in the before part.
Roger that.
PMCS is a two-person job at the minimum. 2 sets of eyes are way better than 1. Always go line by line on your TM so that nothing is forgotten, and learn as much from the mechanics and supervisors as you can so that you actually know the names of the vehicle parts and what will actually leak, not just kick tires. One very forgotten part is getting down on the ground underneath the truck and looking with the light, touching the hoses, checking the clamps and the seals to find issues deeper than just looking on the ground for evidence of a leak. Class 3 leaks don't always fall to the ground. Sometimes they run down on other parts and take a long time to start being that obvious.
Yeah, so there's a perfect example for class 2.
My truck is sad that it hasn't been driven in a while, and it's forming oil tears that aren't enough to fall to the ground, but will spread and run when the vehicle is moving, causing wind to help hide our fluid loss.
We're gonna need a mechanic on this one.
Okay, I'll go get him.
Hey, Sergeant Browning, what's going on? I heard you got a leak.
Yep, sure enough. Looks like a class 2.
Ugh. Well, this vehicle did come out of service yesterday, so it could be residual from that. What we'll do is we'll go ahead, we'll wipe it off. When you guys get back from mission, we'll check it again, and if it's still leaking, we'll fix it.
Before we wipe it, let me get a couple of pictures of it, just in case.
Okay.
In the amazing era of technology, I recommend using it to your advantage to help with the documentation. In this case, we are going to do what is commonly known as wipe and observe. Do not let the degreaser get into your eyes. You can go blind. Use the rags and scrub hard. Now if this leak comes back, we know it wasn't run down from a service, and we can pinpoint it better because the area is cleaner. Remember all those years your parents told you not to climb on stuff so that you don't get hurt? Yeah, now you get to claim it for disability. I'm just kidding. Be safe, always use 3 points of contact. Here's another tip using technology to help. Use the photo editor after you take a picture of the fault and add the bumper number. I'll explain more later in the video of how and why it can help. You can't sue the Army if you get a burn from hot liquid, so don't touch the reservoir cap if the truck's been running.
Level with me.
When checking the oil, keep the dipstick pointing down and wipe it before reinserting for an accurate read on level ground. Even the simple check shouldn't be skipped. Visibly looking in the tank is more accurate than any lowest bidder made fuel gauge and gives you another reason to move the truck more to go get fuel. Skipping a few steps, we'll talk about the fire extinguisher. The fire extinguisher should fit in the mount properly. Only check it looking directly in front of it, or the needle will look like it's not in the proper pressure range. Looking at it from the direct front, you'll see it's in the green, and then check the pin lanyard. It should have a breakaway tie on it also, but most in tactical vehicles don't. Always have the truck running when you check electronics like the lights and vehicle equipment to prevent further drain on the batteries. A truck should run for 20 to 30 minutes after being started to give it time for the batteries to be recharged. Don't high idle the vehicle for at least 2 minutes to give it a gradual warm up, and you don't have to high idle it at all to recharge the batteries. Running the vehicle also gives the engine and components time to warm up to running temperature and run fresh fuel into the lines. Taking the vehicle for a lap will get air flowing through the system and parts and components that are prone to rusting and getting stuck from natural moisture from temperature fluctuation and accidentally forgetting to drain the air tanks. As you do a lap, use the technique like after fording water. Drag the brakes lightly for a few seconds at a time while accelerating the truck to keep it moving. This will clean old rust and debris from the drum and pads to keep them from locking up from inactivity. It's not Tokyo Drift, it's just enough that you feel the brakes engage, a short count, and then release. From a training standpoint, this also gives great time to teach and practice proper ground guide techniques since it's a necessary skill. If the vehicle is already properly dispatched, just go for a trip on a pre-planned route that is long enough for a during PMCS, and when you get back to the motor pool, you can do a proper after PMCS. When the vehicle that wasn't dispatched is, then it should be taken out at some point throughout the week regardless. Even with several pieces of equipment, it doesn't take very long once the proficiency and routine are there. Exercising the equipment will actually prevent many of the issues that are destroying our equipment, from dried up seals and dragged tires from stuck brakes. If we don't get to the next levels of PMCS enough, then operator level checks and services like the fuel water separator will be forgotten and we will start running into countless issues. When the separator is full and not drained, those contaminants go into the engine and it runs like crap. You can see this hazmat approved container with extremely contaminated discolored fuel in it. This came from a truck that only had 4,600 miles on it and filled the entire bottle with water all the way to the bottom of the label. I was told that this truck had no power, lagged badly, and was smoking terribly. It ran like a dream after this operator level service. Crappy habits can cause unintended issues, like telling troops to keep the air tanks in the open position overnight to show that they were drained so this leader could just walk by and not have to turn the knob. Laziness will cause more work in the end, like these troops had to clean and oil these tools from something that could have been saved if the previous troop had did the checks of the BII box and noticed the broken seal.
Hey, Sergeant Browning.
What's up, Sergeant Gabries?
How's that leak looking? Leaking or are we good?
Oh no, like I don't see anything coming out yet, but I think we're gonna have to get more pressure actually getting it on the road.
Yeah, I got you. I would take it around for about a good 10 miles and then bring it back and we'll see how it looks.
Let's finish strong with the paperwork and what faults we found on this vehicle. I have item 1, Bravo, point 1, because we were checking item number 1 in the before interval, and it was procedure 1 of that item number to check when we found the leak on the transmission. It was only a fault, and we skipped a line for maintenance to add notes if needed. We did the same thing for the next fault, that was item number 2, Bravo, point 5, and the next one as well. I made a copy of the DA5988 Echo, gave it to maintenance, and then kept the original as the running document. I didn't find any new faults for the during and after PMCS for the next 2 days, so I just put the date to show that I checked it. The last advice I have is to take your DA5988s that are deadlined back to the office and scan them into a folder. Attach them with the labeled pictures you took of the fault, and if the parts aren't getting ordered or aren't being annotated, this is a paper-free way to be able to send a professional reminder email and get your line squared away. Well, that's it for this class. Let me know what you think in the comments section, and let me know what you want to see next week.